Hey there, if you're loving the tips so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss out on more cool free tips coming your way. I'd also love to hear from you. Make sure to drop a comment below and let me know what you think, or what it is you want to see next. And we'll see you on the inside. See you.
Yeah, I think on that series that we're doing of increasing our conversions,
Yep,
right? We're talking about getting more leads. I'm not. We're talking about closing the leads we have
that's right.
before we focus on getting more leads. And we talked about in the first episode of this, we talked about you need to have the energy,
That's
right? You
right.
need to have the energy, and we talked about that. You got to rest, right? Making sure you're resting, making sure you're in the morning, go for a walk, get your blood flow a little bit. We talked about having a positive attitude, right? And how do you do
Mhm.
that? So part of the energy. On the last episode, we talked about you got to have a why. That when you want to bad enough,
That's right.
you'll increase your conversion. If I don't want to, I'm not going to walk a mile. But
Hmm.
if you say, hey, Carl, you walk 20 miles today,
Yep.
and I'll give you $1 million.
I got
I've
a
got a
why.
why. I'm gonna walk
Yep.
more today than I did last week, right?
That's right. That's right.
Figuratively speaking, all right.
That's right.
And so now we're going to talk about the next thing we're going to talk about is consistent follow up.
This is a good one. This is good.
This is a good one. So I would
Okay.
say on consistent follow up, there's three parts to that, and we'll talk
Okay.
about each one of the three.
Okay.
So there's the structuring of my time.
Okay.
There's the phone calls.
Yep.
And then there's the automation, which is the high touch, high tech, low time.
I love that.
And
I
using the three of those to kind of focus in on what is the customer or what is the referral partner's needs, what's their needs,
mm-hmm.
fulfilling that needs. And when we do that, we increase our relationship with them. And when we increase our relationship with them, we close more loans. Right? Just
That's
just
it.
that. And then
I
we
love
close
it.
more loans, we get more leads. And it's just I call it the stairway of awesomeness. Like it just one leads the
Yeah.
other. So
Spiral stairway.
consistent follow-up.
Yeah.
So let's talk about
Let's talk about
structuring
structured time. Yeah.
structured time. So Steve,
Yeah.
how do I structure my time? Because how most loan officers and most people do, and I've done this too in my past, is I just show up to work today, I open up my email and go, all right, what am I supposed to be doing today?
Yeah.
So
Hey, well, I mean, I love this because you're 100% right. Most of the time, and I've been guilty of this in the past, it's like your day kind of hits you in the face instead of you waking up and saying, now my calendar's going to tell me how I execute the day because my routine or my calendar is focused on the top priorities, what moves the needle the most. So, like, whenever I think about consistent follow up, I think about number one, you got to have your sales time clearly defined in your calendar.
mm,
You and I talk a lot about this in Alliance and the boot camp and in our membership. Is that what happens is this: if you get nothing right, your structured, consistent follow up has got to be number one. You got to have the right outbound sales time each and every day. And what we have found, Carl, is that just 2 hours, 4 days a week will literally change the trajectory of your business.
mm,
And so when I'm thinking about consistent follow up with realtor partners, with past clients, with current files in process, with my pre approved and looking, I've got to have time marked on the calendar that is non negotiable. And so when I build a structure around it, what we find typically works best is 9:30 to 11:30, kind of our East Coast. For our West Coast, it's 9 to 11. So in that 9 to 11, 9:30 to 11:30 time frame, because here's what happens. If every day I can get up, set up my day, do a couple of meetings, but I know my outbound calls start at 9 a.m., Carl, guess what?
yeah.
I have to prep myself differently. Like I can't let the interruption of a file or a processor or an underwriter or a team member walk in. I've got structured follow-up time that
Mm.
is the most important time of the week. It's my outbound prospecting. Mondays are to agents. And so when it's structured, it's consistent. And when it's consistent, it'll produce a consistent result. So what are your thoughts about that?
So I think you nailed that one. I think the so why do I do it first thing in the morning?
Yeah, I think it's because you're the freshest. People are not in the busyness of the day. Agents, like when you're calling partners and you're calling people, most people don't have a lot of problems that have already hit them. Most people are more receptive, in my opinion, in the morning. They're just freshest. And for me personally, why do we do it? Because if I don't do it in the morning, it typically won't get done.
That dude, that's why
And
this
that's
ridiculous.
probably the real answer.
That
I mean, because you can call them in the afternoon, but by the afternoon, all the other stuff's happening.
I got a by the afternoon, I got a stack of to dos, and I got all these
Yeah, all
texts that
these
I gotten,
consultations. Oh yeah,
and,
man.
and,
Oh,
and I got a couple of emails of some things that's going sideways, and so I got to go work on that.
yeah.
And and so now, here it is. As we're recording this today,
Right.
for me, East Coast, it's 1:40 in the afternoon, and it's like I'm already
Holy cow.
starting to kind of wind out.
Yeah, yeah.
My energy in the morning is much higher for me anyway than
Mhm.
it is in the afternoon, and so I'm sharpest in the morning.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I like doing that prospecting when I'm the sharpest. That way, when they give me an objection, I can reach in my bag of tricks and pull out the solution for that, and bang right on it. Whereas in the afternoon, I'm like, you're right. There's no need to meet with me. I ain't got nothing.
I don't have any fight left in me.
Yeah, I don't have any fight left. Right. A lot of truth
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a lot of truth to
yeah.
that. So yeah, if you're trying to catch if you're trying to catch a what's that fish that swims upstream?
Trout, salmon,
Salmon. Yeah, if you're
salmon.
trying to catch a
Yeah.
salmon, you want to catch the one that is the end of the trip, and he's been going up all those waterfalls and swimming
Yeah,
upstream,
yeah,
and he's
yeah.
just wore. He gets at the top, and he's like, "Ugh,
Just
I'm
take
done."
me.
Yeah, yeah, that's an easy catch, right?
Yeah,
You catch
yeah,
him at the
yeah.
beginning of the trip, and you're going to have a little bit harder of a time, right? So
Mhm.
that's a bad
Mhm.
analogy, but yeah. So much more energy. So I got to
Yeah.
have my structured sales time.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'll have no structured sales time, and I'll be checking emails, liking Facebook's post, putting out fires. Like there's
Mhm.
no sales time. We do
Mhm.
this thing, and I know you've heard this 1,000 times, but during our live events that you and I do, we'll ask people, "What's the number one thing you do that makes you most your money?" And they'll say,
That's
"Well, insert in profitable activity that I do that brings in most of my loans." And then we
right.
say, how many hours, minutes, if any, did you spend doing that last week? The average answer is zero,
Yeah.
right?
And that's
Zero.
remarkable because they
Yeah,
know it, but there's no structure
that's
to
right.
the time each and every day. And here's what I think too happens, Carl, is people will loosely put it in their calendar. It's like, oh, I got interrupted. And I'm like, well, if you
Mhm.
would just treat it like you're sitting with the biggest agent opportunity you've ever had, you would not let anything interrupt the time. So there's got to be that commitment to when it's on my calendar, believe me, I'm all in. Hey, and you know what helps with that too? And call stars. One of the things we've created is call stars because you got to have it's not enough, in my opinion, to have consistent follow up. What really helps people is when you plug into call stars, and that's where there's a group of 50 to 150 loan officers, and we do it East Coast, West Coast time. And what even helps more is how do I convert more? I get on with a bunch of other loan officers doing the same activity who may have the same general interruptions, but we're all committed to showing up together. So part of converting more and having that time structure is find a way to do it with other people doing the same activity so that you're staying consistent. Because Carl, guess what? I know you're counting on me. You're my wingman. I'm your wingman. I'm not going to not show on a Monday through Thursday, even if I got an underwriter, processor, a problem, a condition came out. I'm not distracted. I'm focused because I got 2 hours of sales activity.
The problem is if I don't have structured time in my calendar of
Yeah.
this is when I do my prospecting time, I'm relying on my motivation. I'm
Mm,
waiting. I'm waiting until I feel like it,
yeah. Yeah.
and that
That's
may
not
or
going
may
to
not
come.
happen
No, that no,
today.
no, no, no. Let me rephrase it. That won't happen.
It
Hey,
won't happen. You
hey,
can't
listen,
rely on your motivation.
I did a study of discipline because you and I've been talking a lot about motivation, discipline. You know what the number one characteristic of discipline is?
Tell me.
Routine.
Mm,
I would, it was one of those, Carl, where you're kind of like
mm.
shocked, but then I'm like,
Of
Why
course.
would I be shocked?
Of course. Right.
The number one characteristic of discipline is routine.
Hmm.
And so if you want to convert more through consistent follow up, then let's do it the same time, the same day, and do it with the same process because you know what it does too, Carl? And this is my favorite part about routine. Routine removes anxiety. When, like last night, I was laying in bed, I looked at my phone and I'm like, I wonder what I'm doing Wednesday. Oh, that's what I'm doing Wednesday. I wake up and my calendar tells me you're not stressed. I'm not like, hey, I wonder if I'm doing enough sales activity. I wonder if I'm making enough outbound calls. I wonder if I'm having enough conversations. Because when you have a structured time slot for your time and your calls and the sales activity, your activity gives you confidence that if you're doing the right activity, gives you confidence that the results are coming, or that's what's getting you the results you're currently getting. So the routine is so powerful. The community you're in is super powerful, helping me stay accountable. And
You
hey,
know,
talk about it.
just real quick, talking about this structured,
Yeah.
some people might think, yeah, but the being tethered to a calendar,
Oh, I used to think that.
that's low
Yeah.
producers. Did you know
Tell me.
that the president of the United States, whoever he or she is,
Oh, yeah.
right, their calendar is in 90-second increments.
I did
90,
not know that.
90
Wow.
second, 90 seconds. So every minute and a half.
Hey, so mine's at 15-minute increments, but
I
90
was gonna say
seconds is like,
I felt like I felt bad or bad to the bone. I was gonna say a badass. I'm not gonna. So I felt like I felt like a high producer when I said mine's in 30-minute increments until I found
yeah.
out yours is in 15. And the president of the United States, whoever he or
90.
she is 90 seconds, which by the way is not whoever the current president did not dictate that. That's what that role dictates, and they fall into that routine, and their
Wow.
schedule is an every 90-second routine. I saw this was well, I'm not going to say the president, but this was one of the presidents, and they
Yeah.
were showing it was a documentary on the average day, whatever that
Yeah.
happens to be,
Yeah.
right? And they showed they know how long it takes to go from this step to the helicopter, how long
Yep.
it takes that helicopter to take air. Uh, uh, when can he take that first phone call on the helicopter?
Wow.
So they like it to be at 200 feet before he takes a phone call on the helicopter. So they know that from the time he steps into that helicopter to at 200 feet, it took something like I think it was like 49 or for like 50 seconds. And so they had
Wow.
that structured into his count. I mean, this is down to an art, right?
Wow.
But you talk about somebody that gets in, we're not talking politics here, but you talk about something that has a
A
lot on their
position
plate.
that gets a lot
Yeah, it's just
done.
again, whoever he or she is, they got a lot
Yeah.
on their plate. And so
Wow.
yeah. Hey,
Mm.
so the consistent follow-up, uh so
Hey,
we talk about the
talk.
structured, and there's a
Yeah,
couple
you're gonna
two
have time.
minors here.
Okay, do it. Throw those
So the
out.
minor roles would be making the phone calls.
Yep,
So
100%.
there's no better follow-up than a phone call. So emailing is okay, and it is. Texting is okay, and it is. Facebook messaging, it's fine, and it is. It's not instead of, it's also.
That's right. That's
It's
right.
not instead. I want you to think of the phone calls is the main course.
That's
So
right.
whether it's steak if you're, eat steak, or fish if you eat fish,
Yeah.
or the eggplant parmesan if you're a
Yeah.
vegetarian, the main course is the phone call.
Mm.
The text and the emails and the social media, that's the garnish. That's the spice. That's the pop.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
not the main course. It's a pop, and it's a good pop, but that's the spice. That's the sauce that we put on top of it,
I
right?
like it.
But if you have the spice and the sauce, but no beef or potato or
Main course. Yeah,
main
you just yeah.
course, you got nothing,
Yeah. Yeah. It's the
right?
phone
So
calls that drive everything. And that would
100%.
be the first. If you don't have all the other stuff, that's okay. It's enough. And then if you want bonus points, add some of the
You
extra.
know what the problem is? The problem with so many people have so much problem with their follow up is they go, well, here, let me set up a system to do that, and they spend all
22
that time
different
setting up the
ways.
system,
Yeah.
and then they're not out prospecting, putting new people in, and then they
Mhm.
got this really cool widget and nobody in it. So
That's
make the
right.
phone calls first, and then after the phone calls, then build the widget.
Hey, talk
Third
real quickly
party
about automation. So
automation,
I want to
brother,
hear
you're
you
the
on this.
king of this. High touch, high tech, low time. Just having those tools, whatever that is, whatever your CRM is,
That's
whatever it
right.
is, where you can, and maybe it's a video marketing that you're sending
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Maybe it's some social media, right? Whatever
Yep.
that is. Maybe it's an email or a text drip campaign, whatever those are. And so
Yeah.
those are great, but those are great for the lower producing agents.
That's right.
These are great for the lower producing agents that I can't warrant a lunch or a coffee or frankly, maybe even a phone call, somebody that
Mhm.
sends me 1 or 2 loans a year, yet
Mhm.
half of our closings might come from people that send us 1 or 2 deals a year, and there might be 100 of them, but there's only 5 that send me a deal every month, every month,
Yeah.
every month,
Yeah.
every so those people warrant like the phone call and the lunch maybe or the Zoom meeting perhaps, and then these lower producing, still important, but we can't be doing coffee appointments or lunches or Zoom appointments with somebody that's only sending me 1 or 2 deals a year. I'll run out of time in my day, and that's why we have to do this high touch, high tech, low time where we honor those referral partners that send us those onesie
Yeah.
twosies per year, right? We want we because that's half of our closings for the year,
That's right.
but there's no way we can have coffees with hundreds and hundreds
That's
of
right.
or dozens of dozens, whatever your business is. So
Hey, you know what I was just thinking, Carl? Like when we talk about high tech, high touch, low time, I created it's a downloadable, and you know what? I'd be happy. I was even just thinking about this as you were talking about it. Like I'll give you an example. How do I implement automation? And some of it is actual like high tech stuff, but like even a monthly mailer, that's a form of automation because it's
yeah,
literally something that's sent on a monthly basis. It touches a large group of people with the right message, and you're staying top of mind because some people you want to touch and spend time with because they're qualified and some they're unqualified. Here's another, and I have 7 steps to really implement this automation. Here's another one that once a month on the second Thursday of the month, I've got a real strategic text that you would send to a lower producer and ask for the business in a really cool way. That it's not, see, the problem is this when you're touching people that don't have the business, and Carl, there's got to be a differentiation because we know that 1 out of 20 unqualified agents will still refer you a deal every month if we stay top of mind. But if I send too much communication, I call them too often, I send them a text, I got all of these things moving too often, they're like, hey, I don't have any business. It's almost a turnoff. And so what we have found is 7 real easy steps to implement a very simple automation, monthly mailer, monthly text. Here's a mass phone call that you can make once a month. And here's how to do the Facebook targeted ads. And so we've done some really cool things. And I'll tell you what, man, if that's something you're interested in, go to resultswithsteve.com, book a call, and I'll show you how to convert more of the business you've already got. You know, you're already closing 5, 7, 10, 15, maybe even 20 loans a month. And you're saying, Steve, Carl, I'm hearing what you're saying. I've got some low hanging fruit. You know, listen, you're closing 10 loans a month. I bet you could implement some of these really consistent follow up things to go from 10 to 20. And
it's
it
small
doesn't
tweaks
take more time.
typically.
Huh?
It's typically it's small little tweaks
It's the
actually.
little tweaks. Yeah. And so I'll show you how to do that. Look, go to resultswithsteve.com. I was looking at the counter. I have 2 spots this week. Just jump in a call and I'll give it to you. So Carl, I actually have it as an asset. I'll give it to him. I'll show you because I bet with a tweak you could go from 10 to 15, from 15 to 20, 20 to 30, and it wouldn't take as much time as you think, just a couple little things. So resultswithsteve.com. Man,
Great
good
topic,
stuff.
man.
Yeah.
Good topic.
Great stuff. All right. See you.